Welcome back to Commutes, episode 8. Ami's had a couple of weeks off because I've been using the Kangoo. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago we did a sort of not Ami Commutes in the Kangoo, but that was not particularly popular. Turns out you're not particularly fussed about seeing me commute in a Renault Kangoo electric van, which, you know, doesn't have the same level of peril or discomfort, despite the heater not working. So I decided not to bother last week, but Ami is back this week, so let's get to it, shall we? It's a little bit later today. It's still, about 7:30, something like that. We got an 8 o'clock start. And I have had a few people say to me in the comments and stuff like, oh, I'm bored of watching you drive Ami around in the dark. And, well, there's not a whole lot I can do about that, when I'm trying to fit in sort of bringing you my experience of using Ami for a real world commute. It's dark when I leave for work and it's dark when I get home. That's just kind of how it is, but it's a little bit lighter today, so that's something, I guess. It's still a bit wet and miserable, but you can't have it all, can you? I was hoping today to bring you some really good news about UK Ami deliveries, because that's what we like to talk about in these videos. But if anything, I think it's getting worse. I saw one person say that they were meant to be picking up their long-delayed, long-overdue pop model, and they turned up to the dealership, and it was a different car with a different registration number. And it was the base model, and at no point had anybody realised that was not the vehicle that was supposed to be being delivered to the chap. Well, it's getting a bit ridiculous now, isn't it? And I think this person actually was saying they've cancelled their order as a result, and well, to some extent you can't really blame them, can you? It's after all this pain of having to wait for ages to then find that they've delivered the wrong vehicle and the one you were waiting on is somewhere completely different. Well, I totally understand when people are at their end of their tether with that. It's just not on at all, is it? You can't do that. And I've still yet to see anybody say they've taken delivery of a popular bike. Now, obviously, owners groups on Facebook and stuff are not necessarily representative of the entire Ami customer base. Not everybody's going to bother shouting about it online. But some people will be getting deliveries and not saying anything. So it's probably not quite as bad as it looks when you're looking in on those kind of things. But to hear about someone getting delivered their own car, just nonsense. And I also saw someone that was driving home after having picked their vehicle up and realised that the headlights weren't working, and how that was missed during the PDI, and whether or not that. So to start with, all the PDIs were being done centrally. This one was PDI'd at the docks, I believe, and then it was just delivered by the dealer, and I think that was the original plan with Ami, is that's what would happen. But to speed things up, some dealers have been doing some of the PDIs as well. And whoever is to blame here, to take a vehicle and deliver it to a customer without the headlights working at all, that's just ridiculous. That cannot. I mean, there's so many potential failings there, right? That I don't actually understand. I mean, if a dealer delivered any other type of car without working headlights, they'd be getting strung up. And just because Ami's sold in a slightly different manner doesn't excuse that. So I hope that some lessons are being learned from that. And I hope the poor person that had to go through that isn't too put off. It probably was just a case of a loose connection or something like that meant the headlights weren't working. But definitely something that should be picked up, especially when the headlights come on with the ignition. It's the first thing that anybody checking it over should notice. But what can you do, I suppose? But it doesn't really bode well, does it, for being sure that everything's being carried out properly and you're being delivered something that's sort of safe and fit for the road and ready to use. It beggars belief, it really does, but I'm just thankful that I didn't have any of those problems. That everything, all right, we had the drive belt thing after a few hundred miles, but that definitely wasn't the fault of the dealer. Everything was fine and it was perfectly fit for use. I do still have damaged mirrors though. Both wing mirrors have got weird marks, and they promised me they were going to be replaced. But I'm guessing that's the UK Ami team are still dragging their heels on that, so I'm expecting 2 new wing mirrors and they haven't materialised. Although I must say I haven't been chasing it up either. Maybe I should get back on that, because it's not right, is it? It's a brand new car. it's not 100%, then that should have been fixed. So I probably should chase that up and see what's happening. I noticed more people are getting the colour packs delivered now, which is good news. So they're actually being shipped out. You're not, it seems at the moment, you're not getting it when you pick your Ami up. So it's not in the vehicle like it was for me, which actually was a bit of a pain because it takes up loads of space. But it's getting sent out by courier within a few days of collection. And what was quite interesting is at least a couple of people that, rather than just having remember those speed clips that were missing, which meant I couldn't fit the bag hook or the luggage net. Well, people are actually finding entire bags of those. I think someone had like a bag of like 20 or 30 or something attached to the box that the colour pack was in. And I don't know what that's all about. I mean, part of me wonders if they're meant to go into the dealerships like that, the dealer grabs the bag of the speed clips and then uses them on all the Amis that they're preparing, and then maybe that's why they weren't actually present for some of these early cars. But now that we're in the situation where customers are getting sent big bags of them, they don't need them. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, at least they're not finding themselves short, you know, they've got what they need, but it does seem a bit silly that they're being sent like massive quantities of them when some people aren't getting them at all. It's a little bit odd. Well, we're almost at work. Time for another lovely shift. I forgot to bring my flask with me today, so I think I'll go and grab a coffee. That's going to be quite interesting going through a drive-thru, so maybe we'll keep the camera rolling for this one. I haven't done the drive-thru yet. It's the cliched thing that most YouTubers are doing, right? The McDonald's drive-thru. I haven't bothered because I know it's going to be a pain. I've done multi-story car parks. Climbing over to get to the barrier is certainly quite interesting, but the drive-thru is uncharted territory.
Hi there, welcome across. So what can I get for you?
Hello mate, can I have a medium cappuccino please?
Yeah, sure. Anything else?
No, that's great, thank you.
I'll drive down when you're ready.
Cheers.
Hey man, you okay?
Hello mate, alright?
Is this a Citroen Ami?
It is, yeah. A little bit awkward for the drive-thru because it's left-hand drive, but...
Oh really? How have you found it?
Oh, I love it, it's
How
brilliant.
long have you had one?
Since September. That's perfect, thanks very much.
Have a great day.
See you later. Well, that was a success. A little bit awkward having to climb over into the passenger seat. I'm sure someone a little bit more slender than me would find it less difficult, but... still shows very usable. I'm sure if it's busy drive-thru, you might annoy people by taking that little bit extra time to jump over, but it's all good. And I will see you in a few hours. Actually finished in daylight for once. It's only about 4:30. I actually managed to finish early. Beautiful. So those of you moaning about me filming in the dark, maybe that's about to come to an end. Hope so. It wasn't too bad today. It was steady going. You know, like it was busy enough, but it wasn't crazy, so quite happy with that. Looks like the roads are reasonably busy though, which I suppose they always are. This is an absolute nightmare this down here. If you're familiar with the area, they're making Clantony Road wider, and the roadworks have just been an absolute nightmare. I mean, I think it'll be well worthwhile once it's finished, but right now it's just chaos with the lanes closed in both directions and everybody having to merge. Oh, it's just the busy times of day like this, it's just horrible. I'm glad I don't need to come into the centre of Gloucester very often. thought the windscreen was steaming up again, but it's actually just dirty. I really need to give Amy a good wash. It's been a little while. Obviously the weather's been horrible, and I do live on a building site, so it's yeah, in desperate need of some TLC. I probably won't bother filming that. Man washes small car, doesn't really. I've seen a few people asking how best to clean Amy. Obviously with having the plastic, sort of untreated plastic panels, it's a little bit different to most vehicles. And the answer to that is just sort of bog standard car shampoo, you know, and hot water. It kind of does the job. I would tend to avoid the ones that have wax in them, like your wash and wax type things. That can make the finish a bit streaky, because obviously the wax is meant for putting on paint. If you put it on the plastic, it just makes it look a bit funny. Basically you want some kind of car shampoo that's just shampoo. So there's an Autoglym one that I use that is pretty good, and it is literally just shampoo, there's nothing else in it. So you avoid any issues with the sort of wax making the plastic a bit weird. You wouldn't really notice if you were just washing a normal car. In fact, actually in a normal car, it can make it look a bit better, but that's why the wax is in there, and the finish turns out a bit better. But on Amy, it makes the plastic panels look a bit funny. So I would definitely avoid that. Just stick to a car shampoo that's just shampoo and nothing more. There's a link in the description to the Autoglym one I'm talking about if you want to check that out. But there's plenty more out there. You don't necessarily need to buy that one. But what I would say is just avoid anything too fancy. I mean, they are just plastic panels at the end of the day. You don't need to go full sort of detail around them. You know, use 2 buckets if you want, but that's about as detailed as you need to go, I think. Some bog standard shampoo and a sponge or a wash mitt will see you right. Thing I do think is quite funny, and you do sometimes get people who are in a desperate hurry to pass you, like that Audi did just then, but then they had to stop at the traffic lights like I did, and then they turned off in like 100 yards anyway, so they didn't get anything at all. It's all, I'm all for people, you know, passing slower vehicles, obviously. It doesn't really bother me, but I do find it really funny when they show no forward planning at all. You know, they know they're turning left in 100 yards or whatever, but their focus is almost get past that stupid little car. Well, it is what it is, I suppose, but I guess like cyclists and other sort of slow moving traffic see the same thing, you know, this must get in front type mentality. And I do see it now and again with Amy, and I do think it's quite funny. Can't fix stupid, I suppose. I think tomorrow is going to be a filming day. I don't always get the chance on a Sunday, but I think tomorrow I managed to be free enough to do some filming. Now I don't know whether that's going to be filming with Amy, because I've got some plans that I want to try and make into reality, so I might try and work on that tomorrow. But I'm also, I've got a little bit of backlogs here of stuff that needs filming, so I want to try and relaunch my second channel, Hopeless Heroes, which focuses on well, I wouldn't say classic cars. I'd say cars that are a bit old and rubbish, that people wouldn't particularly consider classics, stuff from the 90s, 2000s. I want to sort of relaunch that channel, and I've got a couple of videos to film in order to do that. So we might end up doing that tomorrow, although I really do want to bring you some more Amy content very shortly. So I am very cautious of the fact that the commuting thing only, you know, carries so much clout, and a lot of people are getting a bit bored of it, so I do need to do some other stuff. Keep your eyes peeled for more Amy content, but if you're interested in rubbish old car content, then make sure you subscribe to Hopeless Heroes. There's a link in the description. Now, I've been throwing up some shorts on there recently, just playing around with YouTube shorts. There's nothing groundbreaking on there at the moment, but I am going to start trying to do some more regular content on there. So if you're not just about Amy, you're not just about EVs, and you're other motoring content, then do check it out. Obviously it might not be your thing, but if you think it's something you're interested in, then definitely subscribe and keep an eye out, because there will be some stuff coming. It might be a little bit longer than I was hoping before it'll appear, but there are some plans afoot. we're going to see some better weather, and hopefully with the longer days as well are what really makes a difference. Because I basically at the moment, you know, after work during the week can't do anything because it's dark, and you know, you don't want to see me filming stuff in the dark, so it does get a bit difficult. So I'm hopeful that if we start seeing some longer days, that I'll be able to do some more filming during the week, not just basically the commute thing on a Saturday and then Sunday if I can manage it. So hopefully that means, as we start to see those later evenings as we move into spring, hopefully that means this level of AMI content can be stepped up as well. That's the plan at least. And that brings us to the end of AMI Commutes episode 8, which I hope is an improvement on episode 7, given it actually starred AMI. I'm going to plug in to charge. I mean, I've got 34 miles of range remaining, but I'm going to plug in to charge anyway, just in case we end up doing some filming tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching, as always, and I'll see you next time.